Alright, this is going to be my first video of me essentially playing FTL. Hopefully this goes well. FTL is a fun game. Into the Breach came out, but I haven't gotten it yet. Maybe I will, later. But for now, we're playing Faster Than Light. And we're playing on the arcade, our advanced edition content, so that's going to be enabled. I thought about it, and I'm just going to stick with the basic Kestrel ship. As you can see, I haven't unlocked all the ships yet, but I feel like starting at the beginning seems like a good place to start. So that's what we're going to do. Alright, on to the plane. Alright, so we're using the Kestrel A. The Kestrel A is a decent ship. It has the absolutely amazing Burst Laser 2 to begin with. And the benefits of the Burst Laser 2 is that it fires 3 shots for 2 power. It's very efficient. It's one of the most efficient power to shot ratios in the game. And that makes it very good at going through shields, especially early game right now. Artemis Missile is a nice missile launcher, but missile launchers aren't as reliable a source of damage. I probably won't use the Artemis Missile unless I need to shoot something immediately. It does fire very slightly faster than this, but that's likely not to be an issue. The lasers will reach them, even if I do fire this an entire second faster. The burst lasers will reach them first. So the only time I'll probably use the Artemis Missile is if I fire the burst laser and the thing that I wanted to break doesn't break. So, FTL. I do have exactly one mod, and it is a mod that makes these lines appear. Usually, you can't tell exactly where the rebel fleet is going to come from. I have a mod that puts lines on here. You would technically know this information if you just got out a measuring tape and measured it painstakingly. I don't want to do that, so I'm just going to paint it on here and make it easy for myself. If you think that's cheating, whatever. So, as far as destinations and locations, here we'll reveal the most nodes, and I would want to reveal a large number of locations to go to if I wanted to find, for instance, a store or a distress beacon in particular. But I don't need to do that. So, I'm just going to go to one that gives me the most opportunity to hit as many. And so I'm going to go to the ones that are furthest to the left and then make my way right. So, that's why I'm going to go to this point as opposed to either of these. So, I come across a rebel automated ship. This means that I have a chance for a double scrap reward, because it's attacking a civilian ship. If the civilian ship survives, I have a chance to get a scrap reward. Now, you can tell from just looking at this that they have an ion weapon and a heavy laser Mark II. That could be problematic if it hits my shields, so I'm going to try to make sure that this ion does not hit my shields. We'll see how well that goes. Oh, they're hacking. That's lovely. Oh, they're hacking my weapons. That's less lovely. In fact, I find that to be the polar opposite of lovely. That's actually pretty bad, because it means that aren't. So hacking my weapons means that my weapons won't shoot fast, but these weapons were going to shoot before these fired anyway, so it's not too big a deal. So now they shot the ion and the heavy laser. I have it paused because I want to make sure that the ion does not hit my shields, and that the heavy laser does hit my shields. So the heavy laser is flying first, so I want that to hit my shield, so I'm just going to let that hit. And then this is going to come in, and it looks like it's on a collision course with my shields. that's going to put my shields out of commission for... This is a normal ion, so 5 seconds. Oh, it missed. And it didn't even hit my shields. Oh, how was that? I'm still going to... My weapons are targeting their weapon. Oh, crap. That was a mistake. And this is heading towards my weapons. That's absolutely heading towards... No, it's actually heading towards my engines. Alright, if it's heading towards my engines, that's not as big a deal. We need to start moving on. Okay, so I'm just really bad at judging distances and angles, apparently. Alright, good. So now their weapons are down. If they get something back up, they'll only get up 1 power. So I'm not terribly worried as it stands. You know what? Let's get rid of this. So now that their hacking is down, they won't hack my weapons, and I can just keep shooting. It'll take another 2 volleys for me to finish this ship off, assuming nothing misses. I could get 3 misses, or 2 or 3 misses in a row. That's possible. Right, so I contacted the civilian ship, and I got a free weapon. Now, like I said earlier that the Burst Laser Mark II is one of the most efficient weapons in the game. The Burst Laser Mark II is not quite as efficient. It requires the same power, but it requires the same power. It shoots 1 less shot, but it shoots about 2 seconds faster? 1 second faster. So the Burst Laser Mark I isn't a very good weapon, especially compared to the Burst Laser 2. But every weapon is awful compared to the Burst Laser 2, so that's hardly a comparison. That was a very good result. I probably took a damage I didn't need to by letting that ion hit my shield, but can't always be on top of things. So, I could go here, but I don't want to go to this beacon, because it's a dead end, meaning I'd have to backtrack and waste fuel and time. I only have a certain number of jumps before the rebel fleet reaches the exit, and at that point I want to make sure that I am long gone. So, never go. Try to avoid going to dead ends. You can see them if you go into options and turn on show beacon paths on hover. That way, if you mouse over the beacons, you'll know exactly which other beacons connect to it. Makes navigating through space very nice. Now, so the question is, which one of these do I want to go to? Planning this out, the end result will mostly be the same if I go here and if I go here. Because I'll go here and go through these points, I'll go here and go through these points. But if I go here, I can go to this point, then to this point, and get more places. So that's why I'm going to go here. So, it's another ship. Oh, it's an ion intruder drone. That's miserable. Especially since it's heading towards piloting. I want this thing gone, but I also want their weapons down. So having this person here in weapons will cause my weapons to shoot, 5%, 10% faster. That's 1 second faster. These will shoot at 10 seconds and 9 seconds. If they're not manned. I'm just going to let him deal with this by himself. So, my shields blocked the heavy laser. He's in here, but he's not manning it, so I don't get the bonus 5 dodge chance. That means that I only have a 15% chance to dodge this shot, And if it hits weapons, that will be annoying. Alright, so this one is almost certainly heading towards weapons. What I can do is I can shoot this now and try and preempt that. Oh, I missed the weapons. So if it had hit the weapons, it would have dealt 1 damage to weapons, removing 1 power bar, leaving it with only 2. That would have depowered the Artemis missile, which is why I shot it. Thankfully it missed. So, my burst laser Mark II is firing. This thing is getting ready to shock whoever comes here. So, I'm going to move him out so that he doesn't get stunned in a room that's rapidly losing oxygen. I'll shoot it as it comes by. Sensors isn't super important. They offered a surrender. This is 7 scrap, 1 drone part, 1 missile. I don't really need missiles. I'm not using them particularly much. And even if I did start using, I wouldn't want to start using the Artemis missile consistently. Besides, this is a poor offer. They only offered 1 missile, and I can get a much larger scrap rewards here. He's going to go to shields now, which is problematic if they get their since they have their weapons back home. Oh god, I managed to destroy it before the thing, which is lovely. Oh, this is still deoxygenated. So I'm going to have 2 people come over and repair this at the same time, so that it gets repaired as fast as possible. Then have them go over to the med bay to get healed back up. Breaches can be problematic because they limit where your crew can go on the ship. So that's why good, clean them up. So this is our plan. We went here so we could go here next. Notably, we don't have long range scanners, so we can't see where our jumps will take us. But so far we've been getting decent encounters. So the way this works is, this second option will just give me the scrap and I won't have to fight a battle. This one will give me a chance to instead update the map, meaning I'll see every encounter, I'll see every hazard, every store on the map. That's useful, and if I don't get it, I have to fight the ship. Fighting the ship anyways is also still useful, so I'm always going to take this number 1 option, unless for some reason I absolutely don't want to fight the ship. And there's nothing wrong with fighting the ship. It has a charge laser, but I should be able to fire my weapons before then. Except I wasn't paying attention, it has cloaking. It has level 2 cloaking. So that could actually be a problem. Alright, it didn't hit weapons, which is really the only concern. The only real concern. I don't like cloaking. Could you tell? I also don't like missing. Missed 3 shots in a row. It's unfortunate, but thankfully I didn't take in too much damage in that fight. One go to the med bay and get it repaired. So these are my crew members. They go around, they repair stuff. They man stations, which is also important. Just by standing here, my weapons charge 10% faster. I have 5 more evasion, so that puts me at 20%. So pretty soon, I'm going to start spending my scrap to upgrade stuff. I don't see any stores, so my first inkling is going to get my shields upgraded. One thing I could do is I could just go ahead and get an extra point now in my shields. The way shields work is for every 2 power you have powered into it, you get an additional shield bubble. Right now I have 1 shield bubble. So 1 shield bubble will block 1 laser projectile, which includes projectiles fired by lasers and lasers fired by flak, even though those aren't lasers. They aren't lasers. They also completely block beam weapons from shooting your hull. Those are like mini beams and stuff. So long as I have a shield bubble, I don't have to worry about it. Now, by putting 1 point into shields, this does not give me an additional shield bubble. Instead, what happens is, if my shields get damaged by 1 damage, it'll only remove this level of shielding, of system damage. It'll only take this level of system damage. That means that if my shields get hit for some reason, I'll still have shields. It's called a buffer point, and it's pretty useful when you're doing stuff. So, thinking back on it, going through here and going through these points might have been a good idea, because if I go here to try to go to them, it'll always be backtracking, and I don't want to backtrack. So the real question is, I'm going to go to this one second, so I either go to this first or this first. I guess it makes sense to go to this first, because that way I can see if this is a store before I go to the distress. It gives me more information. And I get a free anti-ship beam drone. It's not particularly useful, but regardless. Now there's a store up here, but I'm not particularly interested in going to it. Selling the beam drone for a few scrap would be nice, but I don't need to do that. Instead, I'll get my 2nd level of engines. Now, if I take all of my power out of my engines, or take it from oxygen, I can have level 2 shields. And sometimes level 2 shields will help better than level 2 engines, so that's probably worth it most of the time. Or some of the time, depending on what I'm up against. We're going to the distress. So, it looks like it was being advanced, ran out of fuel. There, but we're not sure anyone was aboard, and communication seemed to be down. I can board this. Oh, cannibalistic refugees. That's lovely. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to move everyone to the med bay. And I'm going to vent the entire ship, except for the med bay. So what this will do is, it will remove all sources of oxygen on the ship, except in the med bay. Meaning that their only option will be to go into the med bay or die. The benefit to me is that my people heal and theirs don't. So this is a pretty safe way of dealing with boarders, and if you only have 3 crew. Make sure that none of your systems get damaged, which could result in damage to your hull. And you don't want to... Your biggest concern for these kinds of boarding things where people are just suddenly on your ship and you can't do anything about it, your goal is to first mitigate your crew deaths. Don't let any of your crew die. Second, after that, you want to make sure that your crew stays... You want to make sure that your ship doesn't take any hull damage. Personally, I prefer crew over hull damage, but sometimes sacrifices need to be made. Thankfully, I've never had to make those tough decisions. Now, the worst part about that is it wasn't a ship, meaning I don't get any scrap. I don't really need combat experience on any of these people. Took out 2 of them. You're by yourself, Borman. Savage. Let's see. So this exit beacon is connected to by these 3 beacons, which means at some point I'm going to need to go to this beacon right here. This beacon is only connected to this beacon from outside of this area. This beacon is connected to this beacon and that one. So one possible route is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now, it looks like that shouldn't work because this is where 7 is. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Wait, I must have miscounted. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Alright, if I go to this one, it looks like it shouldn't work. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7. In fact, it might not work. Except this is an ion cloud, a nebula sector, so it'll reduce the advance of the rebel fleet. So we're going to go here regardless, but I might change my mind later. This is a slaver. He wants us to hand over one of our crew, but we won't surrender. We'll never surrender. So having extra shielding won't help much with this. It's going to hit my weapons, so I'm just going to fire this. Oh, it didn't hit my weapons. That's massively fortunate. So they're offering me a person, and he's a Zoltan. I have to take this offer. So, Zoltans, humans gain bonus to skills earned. Zoltans provide power for the room they're in. So, for instance, if I put him in shields, bam, I have an extra power in shields. It's pretty nice, and it means that it'll make powering things easier. The problem is, if he leaves the room, I lose the power, and it goes into a different system. That can be annoying, to say the least. What I want to do is put him in a system where if he walks out and he powers it down by 1 or 2 levels, it won't make a big difference. If I put him in shields, and I only have 1 power level in shields, and I only have 1 level in shields, what happens when I move him out? Shields go down. If I have him in weapons, and I have him leave weapons, boom, no weapons. He stops powering the first charged weapon, and that's no good. But if I put him in engines, if he leaves, it just goes down a level. It's not the end of the world if I lose a little bit of evasion. So I'm going to put him in engines, and I'm going to move my human over to shields. So that's a change in my lineup now. But this should probably work out for the better. Now this guy already had a little bit of experience piloting. Once he reaches the first level, after he gets the first level, he'll get an additional 2 more evasion, and then at max level, he'll get another 3 for a total of 10 bonus evasion. Putting them on shields will instead give me a bonus recharge from 10 to 20 to 30%. That's nice. Ideally, I'd have him on doors. So what I'm going to do is, he's going to be on doors, and if I end up not needing doors, I'm going to move into shields. That's because doors are a bit more critical to have active immediately than to have someone manning shields active immediately. Because now, if someone who I don't like wants to move around on my ship, they need to ask the door's permission. Politely. Repeatedly. Over and over. So, save positions. I can also save positions with a hotkey. And I can return them to those positions, also with a hotkey. That's good. This guy wants me to escort him. What'll happen is, I'll accept his quest, he'll give me this fuel, and then either in this sector or in the next sector, one of the beacons will change to a beacon that says quest on it. Yes, it's going to be on this map. So if I look here, this is a quest beacon, meaning that if I go here, he'll give me some sort of benefit or reward. Now, I'm not going to do this. Why? Because this does not connect to this beacon. And this beacon is the only beacon that connects to this beacon, which is the only way to get to the exit. If I go here, what'll happen is I'll have to go to this beacon, I'll have to go to this beacon, then I'll have to backtrack, and then I'll have to go here. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4 jumps, and this is the 4th level. The rebels will have reached this point basically for free, and I'll have to do a rebel fight, which I absolutely do not want to do at this point, especially for such a little reward. So I'm not doing it. So there's a store. I do have something to sell. I have this beam, and if I want to, I could sell this Artemis, but I'd rather get the Burst Laser 2 online before selling the Artemis. So even if there was something at the store, I probably wouldn't go. That plus it gives me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It would be annoying to have to deal with rebels. I don't want to risk encountering rebels on the first sector, so I'm not going to do that. Alright. Aid the Federation's ship. This is another risk. This is another thing where I can get a double reward. So, take a brief look at their weapons. They have a basic laser and a mini beam. This means they can't get past 2 levels of shield, which means I'm basically free to do whatever I want. If I really wanted to, what I could do is I could sit here and just train my guy on shields and dodging. If I were like doing a run by myself that wasn't meant to be viewed by other people, I might actually do that. But instead, I'm just going to shoot their ship to smithereens. So pew pew pew. Their ship has a defense drone. It's not particularly concerning. The defense drone will shoot down projectiles, which include flak weapons. It also includes crystal weapons, missiles, and boarding drones like the Ion Intruder and the regular boarding drone. But it doesn't do anything to lasers. There's an upgraded one that shoots faster and does deal with lasers, but that one's actually a bit worse because it splits its focus between shooting at lasers and shooting at missiles, when really, you want this defense drone to shoot at missiles exclusively. That was loud. So, because I saved them and they were Federation people, they did give me a request, but they don't have anything here. Instead, they gave me a marker for the next sector. That quest is interesting, and I'll definitely try to do it if it's possible. The sector layout is a bit awkward. Ideally, I'd make both of these jumps and then go here and here. I should be able to do that because of the nebulas here. So I guess that's what I'm going to do. So this will be 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. A small rebel ship nearby, refitted for transport. So I'm going to demand them the surrender of their goods. What's going to happen is they're going to be like, oh heck no, and they're going to start running away immediately. See, their FTL is charging. They also have a combat drone. So, similar to the previous ship, this one is unlikely to damage me. This one has a similar setup. It has a heavy laser instead of a basic laser. I'm very interested in getting this ship, which is why I'm not targeting their weapons or their drones. It puts my ship at a bigger risk, especially if I keep getting shot at. But this way, I ensure that the ship doesn't run away, because with its engines down and its piloting down, it can't charge its FTL. Alright, so that's done. Let's get It was carrying drone schematics, but unfortunately nothing remains. So, if, rather than destroying the ship outright, I had instead killed everyone on board and left the ship intact, I could have gotten a free drone schematic, like this one right here. I couldn't use it, but I could definitely sell it. But since I wasn't able to do that, I don't really have the equipment to reliably kill people on an enemy ship rather than just blowing the ship up outright. That's certainly something to consider. This is a distress beacon. I'm not going to it because it'll make me have to backtrack, and I'd have no room to backtrack. Tight schedule. I'm a busy man. Small number planet, no one responds. So that was an empty sector. Things I can do. I could power up weapon control so that I can use the burst laser Mark 1. That's certainly appealing. The only downside is that in order to power it, I'd have to take out from oxygen, but for brief moments, that's doable. In light of that, and since I'm guaranteed to go here, then here should be fine. In fact, I'm actually worried that I'm going to be diving, which could be problematic. It could be very problematic. I'm going to do this jump before I do that. Nebula. Try to follow them. Yeah, but it puts me in a fight. So they have a heavy laser and a beam drone. This ship cannot hurt me, so I'm completely uninterested in them to any degree. You go into shields. No, not you. You stay here. You go into shields and get some experience. Let's start. Keep healing. Or we could miss. Missing is an option. I'm not going to use a missile here. No need. I'm unable to be damaged by this ship at a reasonable likelihood. Like, this can't fire fast enough to break through 2 layers of shield, and this breaks through 0 layers of shield. Oh, we hit. Lovely. Unfortunately, this is only a level 1 piloting. So it's going to... So they're going to repair it quickly, and then it's going to come back. fire. The Burst Laser 2 doesn't really fire fast enough to keep a whole bunch of stuff down at the same time. I'd need multiple weapons, or I'd need to distribute my stuff across a lot of different targets. Doesn't matter. It explodes, and we get stuff. Hooray! This is what I was afraid of. So as you see, this sector is flashing red. That means that it is going to be on the next jump, it will be overtaken by the rebels. That's kinda bad, because it means that it's a guaranteed fight, but I don't get the normal rewards. Usually in a fight like this, you would also have what's called an anti-ship battery firing at you, which is very, very bad and very annoying to deal with. But since it's in a nebula, there is no anti-ship battery. That being said, I want to make sure that my ship is prepared to jump away immediately from that fight. So I'm going to put 2 points into engines. Since this is already going to encounter the rebel fleet, there's no point in trying to go here as quickly as possible anymore. So instead, I'm going to go to this unvisited beacon and see if I can find some additional strength. And I do. It's a black market weapons trader, so we're going to attack the ship. The ship is terrifying, actually. So what they have is they have a flak which shoots 3 projectiles and a heavy laser which shoots 1. That's more than enough to get through my shields. Yeah, and they went through and damaged my oxygen. It's not that bad. Could be worse. I'm going to shoot at their shields, get that down. I'm only really worried if they get the flak back up. So until that happens, I'm going to just... This is a bad surrender offer, so I will not accept it. Alright, their ship's down. It's lovely. Let's get you guys in here before bad stuff happens. So, look at this guy. He's already got 35 skill increase on his shields. And you get a skill increase every time a layer of shields is removed while you're piloting, which is pretty handy. It's still not enough for a full level, but we're getting there. So, what's likely going to happen when I jump here is I'm going to divert energy from my weapon system into engines, just to get out of here as fast as possible. Might even divert energy from my oxygen system into there as well, just to shoot the Artemis missile. But we'll see what happens when we get there. Alright, so they don't have a teleporter, so I don't need you on doors. I'll put you on shield. They have a laser charger. So they have a laser charger Mark 1, Mark 2. So this is 4 shots at 20 seconds. They have a basic laser, which is 1 shot at 10 seconds. They also have a missile. I'm assuming it's an Artemis missile. So 1 missile at 11 seconds or 12 seconds. Or is it 10 seconds? No, it's 11 seconds for the player version. Well, it's 10 seconds for them, which is just peachy. I'm going to shoot their own weapons system with my missile in order to try and take that down. They hit my doors, so that's not a big deal. I didn't take down the missile though, which is probably the bigger issue. I'm not going to shoot another missile. Oh, thank God, yes. Alright, so rather than continue to fight these people, I'm actually going to just leave. Now, you can do this in any fight, but especially against this person, you want to do it. That's because there is no scrap reward for defeating him. At best, you'll get a handful of fuel, which I don't really need. I don't need one fuel. So, we'll consider our options. On to the next sector. We can either go to a Zoltan-controlled or an abandoned sector. An abandoned sector has Lanius ships and possibly Lanius borders. I don't have a very good way of dealing with Lanius borders, so that could be a problem. I'm somewhat weak to boarding. A Zoltan-controlled, that would require me possibly going up against Zoltan ships. Zoltan ships are difficult to take out at this level because my only way of dealing with I'd have to punch through Zoltan shields before I can damage their ship, and in the meantime, if they have like a missile or something, that could be deadly. So it's between these two. You can also usually consider how the rest of the sectors will play out, but just looking at this, I'd rather go to the abandoned sector than deal with Zoltan shields. Alright, and that is the first sector of Faster Than Light. I hope you've enjoyed this, but I think that's going to be it for now. Maybe I'll make another video, or maybe I won't. I'd like to, because this is kind of fun. Alright, that's the end of that.